Snow Walker here, and this is the fifth and final video on arrow building. So what I have here is a fletching jig. So this video is going to be about fletching the arrow. So just a quick review, these arrows, when I got the shafts, they were sanded, then I put a finish on them, then after the finish I crusted them, which is this part here. Then after the crusting, after I painted that, I determined the grain, the direction of the grain, and you want the grain horizontal when it's on the shelf of the bow. Then I knocked it, then I put a point on it. And then, probably one of the most critical things is I went outside and bare shaft tested or bare shaft tuned these arrows to the specific bow that I'll be shooting them out of. After that was done, the arrow's ready for fletchings, feathers, what do you want to call them? Some people call them vanes. These are not vanes. Vanes are plastic. These are actually turkey feathers, believe it or not. And they're, some are dyed, obviously. I mean, some are not dyed. Let's see, I think I have some that are not dyed. Yeah, these ones are not dyed. These are an actual turkey feather, a barbed turkey feather. And I have one drying on here right now. Should be ready to glue on my next one. I glued on the cock feather. Okay, so some of my arrows I've built have a cock feather, some don't have a cock feather. What the cock feather is usually it's a different colored feather or fletching that would determine, you know, whether or not you when you put the arrow on. There's two ways you can put the arrow on a bow because of the notch on the nock. You can either put it on this way, the string running this way, or this way. Now if I have my bow in my hand, what you want is you want the two feathers that are on the right side, because I'm a right-handed shooter. My bow is right here. You want, and the arrow's fairly close to the bow. You don't want this feather hitting the bow. You want this feather to be this direction, and they'll call this the cock feather. But you can also use a top, a bottom, anything. It's just a color that you, and a placement of the color that is different from the rest of the feathers. And it just lets you know quickly when you pull it out of your quiver, you can quickly put it, you can see where the feather is, place it in your hand, put it on the bow, and you're ready to go. You don't have to sit here and look at it and go, well, let's see, does it go this way, you know, you don't have to determine it. So basically what it does is it keeps this feather from hitting the bow. If this had the cock feather a different color, it would be this one. See how that works? Rather than hitting it. The knock determines, you know, how it sits on the string. Let's see if that'll fit in there or not. No, not really. But that's your string. You can the arrow will either go this way or this way. Okay? So I made that determination when I put it in here. And the cock feather is first one I put on, and it should be about dry now. Okay, you just turn this till it clicks, and then the next two will be ready here as soon as I glue them. There are markings, little incremental markings, so you know right where you want to put the fletching, so that you know don't have one higher or lower than the other one. And again, I use Ducko cement. Ducko's really good cement. Probably the best cement there is as far as, you know, arrow building goes. You know, I don't think it can be topped. Good multi-purpose glue. Put a bead on there. And these are right fletchings, right feathers. There's actually a difference between right and left. The right fletchings come off of the right wing of a turkey. The left fletchings come off of the left wing. They're different. I have here a left wing feather, a right wing feather. And if I put them together, you can see they don't line up, they don't match. They're different. So what they'll do is you have to have either all right or all left, obviously, and you just choose which one you want to do, really. Two lefts. Again, the right. It's different. It goes off this way. Lefts go that way. So you don't want to get them mixed up. These are my left wing, these are my right wing. I also have a left wing clamp, fletching clamp, goes on there. These work pretty good. They're just magnetic. They go right on a piece of metal back there. Magnet sticks to it, holds it till the glue's dry. They work very well. And I've fletched a lot of feathers over the years. Some people will fletch 4 feathers. Now, if you fletch 4 feathers, then you don't have to have a cock feather, because you have 2 on each side. Then you flip it over, you know, your arrow, you have 2 on the other side. So instead of having 3, you know, right here's your, should have a better way of showing this. Right here's where your string goes. So you would have 2 coming out, you know, here, and 2 coming out here. So no matter how you would flip it on the string, it doesn't matter. You just grab an arrow, put it on. I've actually made some of those. But with the problem with the 4 fletching, or 4 feather fletchings, we're going to call them, that I have found out is that they don't need to be very long. They don't need to be very big. Like I say, it's almost like I said before, it's almost like having a little parachute on the end of your arrow. The purpose of these is so that, you know, they'll spin the arrow. Just like a spiral football will fly further than a football. If you just take the football and you throw it, it's tumbling through the air. It won't go as far. A spiral football that is spinning, it'll balance itself out as it's spinning, and it goes through the air a lot better. The same with a bullet. You know, the rifling on a gun spins the bullet as it comes out of the barrel, and it makes it more accurate, and it can go further. Same thing with the bow and the arrow. If the arrow is spinning through the air, it will go further. I don't know how well I'm showing this. Perhaps you can see the fletchings are, you know, they start up here and they go down there. They're not totally centered on the shaft. They're off a little bit, and you know, they're all a little bit of an angle. I'm not sure what the angle is. You can actually adjust the angles on these things for different varying widths of arrows to get them on, so to get them on there good and securely. And these I cut down to a point. I kind of like that. That's just something I like to do. As I was saying before, traditional archery is art and it's science both. That's one thing that the compound archery, something that's been lost really is, or something that's missing with compound archery is the art part of it, you know, or the building part of it. Most traditional archers, a lot of them build their own bows, you know, and their own arrows, and you can buy all the parts and do it. And as far as compound shooters go, I guess you can build your own arrows. I mean, you can, obviously, but there's not, I don't know, they've dumbed it down, I guess. I mean, the companies that build the arrows, they've made them so that you can pull the nocks off, you can unscrew the tip, screw on another tip, and it's just real basic stuff. I mean, it's like I say, I didn't phrase this, and I'm not knocking compounds. I own a couple compounds. I don't mind them. They took the fun out of it, basically. Compounds took the fun out of archery, and that's why I don't shoot them. I'll be honest with you. They took the fun out of it, and they took the art out of it as well. Each of these arrows, are going to be a work of art when they're done. They're just going to be beautiful, and they're going to shoot good. And like I say, it's amazing. Once you get all the steps of archery down, of shooting, there's several steps. Your stance, I work from the ground up. You get your stance, bend your knees, bend your back, keep your back straight, but you bend your lower back. You draw in a straight line towards what you're shooting. Find your anchor point. Your bow is canted, and you just let go of the arrow, release it when your brain tells you to, and the aiming point that it tells you to do. All that will come natural after you do it enough times, and that's what's kind of the beauty of it. It's simple. I mean, there's a lot going on, but it becomes natural, and that's the fun part of it. Is that it's so simple, but yet it's a kind of it becomes a natural act, just like riding a bicycle. I mean, once you've done it, it's real simple, and you kind of never forget it. And archery, traditional archery, is similar that way as well. So this one should be glued on. That's probably good enough. Go to the next one. So going back to the turkey feathers. Yeah, right wing or left wing. The decision is yours. People that shoot aluminum arrows or carbon fiber, they will oftentimes I can't remember, right or left. They like the right wing, because the right wing forces the arrow to spin in a direction which somewhat will keep the tip screwed in, because the tip of those arrows are threaded, of the carbon fiber arrows or the aluminum arrows. The tips of those, there's inserts, and they're threaded in, so you can screw them off, screw them on. Well, on those arrows, if your arrow is spinning in this direction, which I guess would be a left-handed twist, what it'll do when you release that arrow and that arrow wants to torque and spin, it'll actually unscrew the broadhead or the point, whatever kind of point, target point or whatever you got on there, field point. After you shoot it, you'll want to unscrew it, and after you shoot the arrow several times, you look at your arrow and go, oh, it's all clear threaded off, your point is. And then you got to tighten it back down. Whereas if you put a right hand twist on those, or a fletching that is a right wing fletching, you'll want to spin the arrow this direction, which, righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? So it'll want to keep that point tight. But that being said, I've also found out when I shot those that even those want to come loose sometimes, and I don't really know why. It's like I got the right, the right spin on the arrow. Why would it want to come off? But even those want to loosen up as well. But I think they don't do it as often as the left-handed one. Also, there's people that will tell you, and I don't believe it, they'll say, if you're a right-handed shooter, you should shoot right wing fletchings. If you're a left-handed shooter, you should shoot left wing fletchings. And I've heard the reasoning, and the reasoning is totally bogus to me, but what they say is when you're holding your bow and the arrow is on your wrist or your hand, depending on the type of bow you have, when you release it, they say, because here's the bow right here. you're holding onto it. When you release it, a right-handed twist will turn the arrow into the bow. And the left-handed twist, if you're left-handed, will turn the arrow into the bow. Which is not correct, because I'm pretty darn sure that through high-speed photography, they have proved that when the arrow leaves the string, it is still going straight. And once it's out there a little bit, away from the bow, and the wind effect, or the, I guess, I don't know if it's a wind effect, but the effect that the spiral, right or left-handed fletchings have on the air will start to spin the arrow once it's away from the bow. It doesn't spin it while it's sitting on the bow, which, so that wasn't a very good argument. I've heard that one by several people, actually, which is not correct. It can be correct. Like I say, slow motion photography or high-speed photography has showed us different. So this should be about done. And what am I doing? There we go. Oh, that one might not have been totally on there that good. Shoot. Okay. I might. Ooh, this is going to be tricky. I may have pulled it off too soon. I can push it over and hold it. I'm going to have to hold this one. So what I like to do now is put just a dab of glue on each end of each fletching. So we use turkey feathers. I've been told you can use any feathers. I'm sure the Native Americans out west here where there's no turkeys, at least in the state I live in, I'm sure, actually there are on the eastern side of the state, but on the western side of the state there's no turkeys. No turkeys for hundreds of miles here. I'm sure they probably did not use turkey feathers here, the Native Americans. They probably used whatever feather they could find, whatever animal, whatever bird they could shoot. And I've heard and read that in Europe there was an old invoice, I guess you'd call it, that was found for a king, and he had ordered thousands of arrows. I don't know what the number was, 3,000 or 4,000 arrows or something like that. Might have been more, might have been 30 or 40,000. It was a lot of arrows. And the arrow smiths, I guess you would call them, not to be confused with the band, when they built those arrows, they used chicken feathers. Which I guess would work fine. A feather is a feather, a right wing or a left wing. So there's the arrow. The arrow is complete. I have the spine weight written on it, 50 to 55, so I know. Has the beautiful cresting work. Port Orford cedar shaft. It has the footed shaft, which is heartwood. No, I said that before. It's purple heart, which is a hardwood. And there it is. It's got a target point. It's a beautiful arrow. Can't wait to shoot it. The fletchings, when you're putting a broadhead on to hunt with, you're going to want fairly large fletchings, because to spin the broadhead, it takes decent sized fletchings to overcome it. If your fletchings are smaller than the broadhead or little, maybe just a little bit bigger, they kind of want to fight each other, is what I've seen. And the arrow might want to fly kind of funny. So just keep that in mind. If you have a target arrow, you can put on smaller fletchings. Usually, if you're gonna hunt with that, if you're gonna take the target point off and put on a hunting point, you may want to put larger fletchings on it.